This is Voices of the City, your statewide, local, and national information hub for all things that impact you and me. Today, we're sitting down with Miss Tarika Holland, a
Hi.
local native artist from Augusta, Georgia. She's going to spill all the gems about what it's like to be an artist in today's society. This is Voices of the City, your local, statewide, and national information hub for all things that impact you and me. I am your host, Ty Williams, local serial entrepreneur, master educator, and beauty influencer. Today, we get to sit down and talk to an artist. I like to call myself an artist as well, just because some of the things I do. But we get to sit down and talk to a real artist that's igniting change right here in our own community, Mrs. Tarika Holland.
Hi.
How you doing, girl?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. You look amazing.
Good. Thank you.
I
So
love
do
your
you.
makeup. Thank you. You did it yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, it looks really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good job. All right. So my name is Tarika Holland. I am a performing artist based here in Augusta, Georgia. My talents range from dance, spoken word and poetry, acting, and modeling.
Ooh.
I'm a 2019 graduate of Davidson Fine Arts. I have done so much around the city, including, being a student at Davidson, but also making a name for myself outside of Davidson, where I've performed at open mics and festivals. And eventually that led me to being a true freelance artist where I would get booked to perform for shows.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm an author as well. I have 2 books out. My first being Through the Eyes of Isolated Beauty. Isolated Beauty was my former stage name.
Okay.
And that book takes you through my years in high school and middle school. So you can imagine a little angsty little teenager going through some teens.
Right.
Okay?
You got some stories to tell, I'm sure.
Right. And then I've started a series called Becoming the Artist, where I share my game and gems for becoming the best artist you can be on stage and beyond the lights. So everything that I've learned so far on my journey through freelancing and even the things that you don't do on the stage, but off the stage, I share my knowledge and pass that on to others. I've recently been a part of the theatrical reading series at the Lucy C. Laney Museum. So we do a series of August Wilson plays, and I've played lead roles in each of those. Vera in 7 Guitars and Tanya in King Hedley II. And that's directed by Jerome Preston Bates. So yeah, that's just a little tiny bit about me and what I've been up to lately.
Okay.
And I'm just grateful to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you here.
Yeah.
Like I said, Voices of the City is going to really ignite and highlight people that are like doing things in our city. We don't always get the opportunity to, hand meet and pick and see people per se.
Yeah.
But there are so many people that are doing amazing things and young people at that, So that's why it's a true gem to have you here today.
you.
We're glad you joined us.
Yeah.
How did you get started? Like artistry is a lot and you
It
have
is.
a pretty broad range of things that you do, right? So how did you know that this was for you?
So I feel like art has always been a part of my childhood. You listen to music, you read books and things like that, but I didn't start actively pursuing it until I took a field trip in 2nd grade to Davidson to see their Black History show.
Okay.
And I'm in 2nd grade. I'm like, I want to be here. This is what I want to do. I want to go to this school. So I had like 3 years left of elementary school, and I just kind of, made sure my grades were great. I was always a very good student. And I auditioned for Davidson and I got in. And so that's where it really kind of got started. I actually went in for visual arts, believe it or not. I wanted to draw and paint and all of that. And then here I am here not doing that. But I do a lot of other cool things.
Right. It still falls in the same category.
And I remember in the audition for the dance part, we had to like dance with this scarf. And I never really thought of myself as a dancer. But when that happened, something kind of like sparked within me. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is cool. And they recommended me to take ballet. So my beginning years of Davidson, I was kind of in everything. I was doing visual arts, I was doing theater, I was doing dance. But after a while, I kind of went towards a more dance track, which was tough. But I don't know, it was something about the challenge. It was something about proving myself, I suppose. So yeah, I dominantly did dance, and then it kind of came back around as I went through some challenges at Davidson and just making a name for myself outside of Davidson. And that's where so I decided like this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I was 13.
13.
Yeah.
That's
So
pretty
I
young.
was it was a big decision to just be like, yeah, this is it.
Right.
and I've stuck with it, you know. But then towards, I wouldn't say my junior year, that's where I began to migrate back into theater and doing spoken word. And you begin to see me be, you know, the multifaceted artist I feel like I was always meant to be. But, you know, I'm grateful for the times where dance was kind of like leading my journey. Yeah. So that's where it really all got started, like childhood. I even remember in elementary school doing a few plays. Like I was Mary in the Christmas play. And you know, I remember writing poetry. My first time like writing was with my mom in elementary school, and it was for like the DARE program that nobody grew up to listen to. But
it's okay.
You know, everybody tried their best. But we wrote a poem about the dangers of doing drugs. And then I remember I was in 5th grade and I did a poem at our like 5th grade graduation. So it's always been around, and it's just kind of nice to see it kind of flourish into who I am and who I'm growing to be, because I thought I was going to go a more academic track. That's what I saw for myself. That's what everybody saw for me. And then it just happened the way that it was meant to happen.
Yeah, and that's good.
Yeah.
I like that you said multifaceted, you know, because it's tough to be somebody with so many different talents. Let me say it like that, right?
It is.
So a lot of times we have to depend on God to say, which one of these gifts or how do you want me to encompass all these gifts together to make it work for my good? So how did you hone in and say, you know what? I'm going to take it and run this way with it versus that way?
I think for me, I had to really listen to my own voice. You know, everyone saw me as one thing. People will put you in a box. You know, it don't matter what art form it is. If they see you one way, they want you to only do that. And for a while, that was me. People saw me as a dancer, and it's just like, real ones know it's always been multiple art forms. It was just a matter of time before it all, you know, came together. So I had to really listen to my own voice and not people's projections onto me that I can't do all of the things, because yes, I can. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I am that girl. I am her.
Yeah. And even just being consistent within everything, like just consistency in art in general is hard. You know, some people give up before they get
started.
You know, that picture where you're like digging for the diamonds and then he walks back and the diamonds were right there. You know, that's a lot of our reality, but that's not my reality. I'm gonna keep digging. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So yeah, I had to really listen to my own voice and trust my own voice and trust God. You know, sometimes there is an art form leading you in a season. You know, and I'm just like, whatever stories I'm meant to tell, whatever I'm meant to say, however I'm meant to say it, that's what I strive to do. So yeah, you have to listen to your own voice, and you don't have to be one thing. You can do it all, and you can do it all well, as long as you're consistent and you care and you're passionate and you put in the time. Like you can do it all.
I don't think people really understand when a woman says the it girl. So many people try to put it into this negative connotation that, oh, you think you're all that.
Right.
But it's never, to me anyway, it's never been about that. It girl is exactly what you're describing, right? You can have it all. You can do it all. You can be it all.
Yeah, and you don't have to settle as
you
well.
You don't. You can dig as far as you want to go. You can open as many boxes as you want to, as long as you let God, for me, as long as I let God lead the way.
Speaking.
Direct that path, girl. You can do all things.
Exactly.
So I love that you said that. Yeah, because if you don't listen to your voice, it's so easy to become all of the things that you did not want to. Like, I can tell you about, you know, me personally, my mom is a wonderful example of everything I, knew I wanted to be.
Yeah.
But, even coming up and trying to find your own voice, you say, I don't want to do what she did. I don't want to
Right.
follow in her footsteps, right? Like, I don't want to become all those things that they've said I'm going to be just because of who she is, right? And the more I get older, the more I start to understand how important it is to find your own voice.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's okay to be inspired. It's okay to have aspirations, and it's okay to align those things with, kind of examples you've already seen, but finding your own voice is where it really makes a difference.
Yes.
That's super important. So, how do you balance staying true to your vision, but engaging in what society wants, right?
That's a good question. I be losing my mind every other week, okay? I'm not kidding. Okay, but one is my faith. I have really began.
Speaking, girl.
Yes.
Okay, now
that's why I'm
that's a whole
listen,
nother conversation. Because faith,
yes,
people don't understand that one.
Yeah, you grow up and your faith is kind of your parents' responsibility. So I grew up in church and all of those things, and you have I'm beginning to realize that, it was people that did certain things, not God that did certain things when we have those bad experiences. So now that I'm older, I want to say when I got into, like, I'm 23 for reference, but
wow.
I want to say these past 3 years has really been me honing in on my own personal relationship with God versus what has been taught to me or what do I see, And even in that, it's hard sometimes because people are just in different places of their journey and you have to stay focused on yours because it's easy to compare yourself. It's easy to feel not good enough because, being an artist, I've always felt this conflicting thing, like, can I do this and still be a faithful woman? And it's like, yes, you can be all of the things. Like, there's this clip of Lauryn Hill. She's like, you can be as dope as you are, you can be as this, you can be as this, and you can still love God, So I'm glad I'm past that, but my faith keeps me intact so much. Also counseling and taking care of my mental health. I've been consistently in counseling for about a little over a year, and it has truly helped me so much. I am so grateful that, it just all aligned and I'm able to do it. And I want to say, just staying organized and just, I'm learning to be transparent about when I need help because, baby, I'm Miss Independent, okay? I will do everything by myself. I want it done. Right, exactly. I want it done when I want it done. You know what I'm saying?
The way I want it done.
The way I want it done,
Okay.
So I've learned to just be transparent when I need help and lean on my community and accept the love that I'm given because I didn't always do that. And of course, the little corny things like have a planner, put it in your calendar. Those things help as much as it feels silly sometimes, it does help. But it's really just trusting what season I'm in. I think I'm just now getting back on the scene, but I had to take a break this last in the year because I was just so overwhelmed and I had a health thing happen that was a little scary and thank God I'm okay and it wasn't worse, but it was a real wake-up call. I have to slow down, and sometimes I tend to pour into everything and everybody except myself. So it was a huge wake-up call for me to get back to myself and give to me, especially this year. It's been a long year.
I think for everybody.
Yeah,
this has
been a long year. So I'm grateful that I trusted myself to just back up because now that I'm back doing things, I feel so refreshed and I feel a new sense of inspiration. So it's really just about honoring what season you're in. Every season isn't meant to be on the forefront, especially as an artist. Everyone sees the stage and they see the lights, they see the glare. I'm like, y'all don't see I'll be up till 4 o'clock in the morning writing poems or choreographing or getting into character. No one sees that grind in those seasons.
They just
where
see
it's
the pretty
quiet.
picture, right?
Yeah, and
they don't
it's
see
just
this
like,
rough
man,
draft.
y'all don't get it. Yeah, so just honoring what season I'm in, my faith, counseling and taking care of my mental health, leaning on my community, those are the things that keep me balanced. And once again, listening to my own voice, because society will tell you what to be. Child, we see the state of this country right now. I'm not going to get into that.
We can't even talk about that because we don't even have enough time to touch on that stuff.
So it's just like in a society where it's very clear how they feel about us. Just still having that love for myself and still giving love despite the fact that may not always be reciprocated, or it may not always come from who I want it to come from, you know? So yes, that is how I stay balanced.
I like that you mentioned mental health because our community tends to shy away from those conversations. Until we see somebody in the situation where mental health has played a huge impact, and we're like, oh, we didn't know.
And another thing is faith in mental health. They think that they can't coexist when they can, and they should. So
it's a big deal. And I just want us as young people to kind of open up and be a little bit more transparent about the things that we're going through, because you touched on receiving that love from the community, and then a lot of times when we do, we're so used to not having it, right?
Exactly.
But then when we do get it, we don't know how to deal with it, and we kind of tend to push it away. Instead of embracing it, because let's just be honest, the world that we live in sometimes can be cruel. And the things that people, put out there, the things that people like to say when you are transparent makes you kind of want to.
Exactly. And being a Black woman, we're expected to be strong, and we're expected to handle way more than we should be handling. And we have to carry ourselves in such a way that even when we're weak, we can't show it. Even when we need help, we can't always receive it. So it's tough sometimes, especially in my arena, what I do as far as art. Like, I have to be confident. I have to keep my head up, because it's tough. You deal with rejection. You deal with not fitting into a particular box or fitting a particular image. You have to know who you are so deeply, like inside and out, because it's so easy for other voices to get in and tell you who you are. And I've experienced that, So it's just like, when you find yourself and you know yourself, you have to keep tact of that. Even now, I still have those moments where I'm like, wait, hold on.
Where you becoming?
And that's when you got to go back. You got to go inward. You got to get it together. You know, it's mandatory.
What would you think your favorite part of your artistry would be?
It is connecting with people. We all go through things, and it can feel really terrible in the moment. But once I create about it and I share it, and people tell me like, oh, this resonated with me, or I felt this, or you spoke to my soul, or like just how it impacts people. That's my favorite part. Because anytime I go through something, or even if I'm experiencing joy, I know I can share that with others, and it just lets me know that it's not in vain. You know what I'm saying? I love that part of it. I just love the rush of performing, because I dominantly perform live. Like, that's my favorite.
Is it scary? Like,
yes.
You know what? When I was a little girl, I thought I wanted to be an actress.
Yes,
I would get in them. You really?
Yes.
Okay, I ain't gonna give up on it, girl.
Yeah,
I used to get in the mirror and I used to be like, okay, here you are. Right? And then I was like, girl, what are you talking about? You can't be no actress.
Yes,
like, go ahead and get this degree and go in the classroom. But I was like, why not?
Yeah, exactly.
And when this opportunity to be in front of the camera with the
You're
lights
great at it.
and the microphone, I was like,
it's my first time meeting you. We kicking it like
right. Because that's what we're supposed to do, right? But I just always said no. But you know what? Now that I'm actually like full throttle, I'm like, no, you're gonna do what makes you happy.
Yes.
So I'm jumping into anywhere that I think will make a difference and an impact.
Yeah, that's good.
When Jordan and I had our interview last week, that was one of the biggest things. I was like, you know what? When you came to my vision board party, because that's how I met him, and I was like, I kept throwing that word impact.
Yeah.
And then now look at it. Look what it's doing.
Yeah.
So it's excited. Well, thank you. I'm glad for you too.
You.
Like, and you being so young inspires me. Because it's like I love to see young people knowing what it is they want out of life and attacking it.
Yeah.
Because my generation went through a phase where there was just so much at us, and it was kind of hard to really like make moves, if you want to say. But it's like you guys nowadays graduate high school. I see so many of my students graduate high school and they're going straight into like big money. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be good at it. I'm gonna nurture it, and they just take off running.
Wow.
Yeah. So I love that for you.
Thank you.
What are some of the things that you're working on right now?
I'm like, what am I working on? Child, I definitely would love to do more books. And just kind of keeping up with my poetry and like becoming an artist and just sharing my knowledge about art. I'm trying to, there's some things I'm like, I don't know about you.
Yeah, don't spill too much
like,
of the tea. It's okay.
But yeah, right now, like for example, speaking of Jordan, I performed at his oath of office ceremony.
Oh wow.
So I think that's beginning to open up. If I think what's gonna happen, I think that's gonna be super great for me.
Okay.
But yeah, so shows are coming up for the new year.
Okay.
You know, I'm excited. I have a wedding gig in March, so I'm excited for that. There are some other shows that are emerging and pending. So yeah, I'm excited. It's just really continuing to do what I'm doing, you know, and sharing that in ways that are of quality and that are just authentic to who I am. And yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So when you say weddings, because this part is really interesting to me, are you dancing or are you painting?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't do no visual arts no more. Okay. That has left me. I was just
that
talking
wasn't
to
your cup of tea.
No, not even that. It's just everything else took the forefront. Like I started dancing, it's like my whole world like changed. You know what I mean? But I was on the phone with actually one of my students, crazy enough, like catching up with her. And I was telling her, girl, my visual art skills have left. You know how you pick up something, you like, let me see if I still got it. I don't got it no more. I do everything else. I'm like, it done, but I still deeply appreciate visual arts. But yeah, it's gonna so you know, like the flower girl, I'm gonna do that, but a ballerina.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I'm really, what's crazy, I'm like, oh my God, I want to go to a wedding. And I was like, I want to go to a wedding, but you know, no one around me was really getting married. And then this came about, you know, like building community is so important. This came about because of an old coworker, her sister's getting married, you know? So yeah, I'm excited for that. This will be my first time doing a wedding, like doing something like this.
Girl, you're gonna excel. And this is gonna open the door for so many opportunities.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that because I love love. I'm such a romantic or whatever, you know? So I'm just excited. I'm grateful to be a part, you know, and it just goes to show that the connections you make matter.
They do.
You know what I mean?
You say building the community. That's an important part of this. Like, how does your art connect to impacting others in the community? How does it?
I mean, it's like I'm born here, I'm raised here, you know, I've seen so many different people from different walks of life.
Right.
And while I write about my own personal experiences, I've also beginning to write about the people like more outwardly, you know what I'm saying? And it's just important that we're represented. You know, I think sometimes in art, how we're represented isn't always the most authentic and it's so one-dimensional. Far as like stereotyping us and just putting us in this negative light. And so I think it's just important to know who you are and where you come from and making sure that we're known for all that we are. We're so vast and there's so many, we have many different facets, you know? So me being my authentic self and me living my own life and really taking in all of the experiences that I've had helps somebody else because they've been through the same thing sometimes. Yeah. So it's everything. And it's a lot of pressure too. I'll be transparent about that. You know, especially as I'm grateful to God that I'm elevating and the opportunities are getting bigger. But you know, it's a lot of pressure and it's a lot of grief that comes with it because you shed friends and you shed, you know, colleagues and things like that. So while it's beautiful, it can also be painful, you know, but you have to just understand that I'm one of the people like, you don't possess people, you
Mhm.
experience them.
Mm.
And so you have to trust the seasons when it's time for this to be gone.
Girl, teach me something.
You know, when it's time for this to expire, it's time for it to expire, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of pressure because,
It
you
is.
know, I'm essentially becoming a figure in Augusta where people are looking to me and they're hearing me. So I have to move so differently, I feel like. You know what I mean?
And it's funny that you say that because when you're in such a spotlighted position,
Yeah.
when you're in a professional position,
Yeah.
people forget that you're human.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, I still have feelings.
You're right.
I still have all this other stuff. I'm still a girl.
I'm just a girl.
I'm just a girl. And my feelings are still there.
Yeah.
So don't put me on such a pedestal, you know,
yeah.
because I'm going to experience life just like you are. And I'm not going to always be, you know, going to handle it the way that you...
Happy-go-lucky. That's another thing. I'm an introvert. People think because I'm on stage and I'm doing this and I can talk that I'm not introverted. So people kind of, why are you so quiet? Why are you so... I don't want to talk right. You know what I mean?
Just give me a few minutes.
Like, please, I don't know y'all, first of all. You know what I mean?
I suffer from that too.
Yeah.
It's funny because my career choices, you would think you're not an introvert.
You're not an introvert.
Right? You talk to people all day long.
Time.
And you know, you're good at this, right?
Yeah.
Like you can get on there and you can rock a show or a stage or whatever, but it's not always that easy.
Exactly.
You know, because that little part of us is still very shy. Like, oh my God, like what do I say?
And I'm an empath, so like being around people, I kind of like take in
everything.
So like I'll be fine. Like as soon as I get home, I'm closing that door. Do not speak to me after a show. I need 24 hours
to just regroup, charge that social battery back up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
you know, so it is tough. Like you said, being in the light, you know, people see this and they want this. I'm like, if you knew everything that really came with it, you'd probably question it, you know, and that's not to stray away from chasing their dreams. But once again, they kind of see the fruits. They don't see
the
what
labor.
It took. Yeah, exactly. So, you know,
I've said this before on my social media that one of the biggest ways I get through things or storms in my own life is to be transparent and vocal and to uplift other people while I'm going through.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can listen to yourself telling somebody else something. You're like, wait, you talking to yourself?
Yeah.
You should take that advice that you're giving because you need it too right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the most impactful ways to really go about those challenges because I want to be the person, you know, to confront life's challenges with love. You know, I'm so tired of having to be bogged down with just carrying that burden. I really want to kind of just confront everything with love. You know what? It's okay. You know, not letting people do you any kind of way, but still understanding that, like we said, everybody is human.
Yes, I'm learning that. I think that's a big part of where I'm at in faith is forgiveness. Like I'm one of them people like, oh, it's okay, it's fine. When deep down, it ain't nothing fine
about it.
Okay, but I realize that gives me extra weight to carry because I haven't forgiven certain people and certain things. Sometimes you're not gonna get an apology from who hurt you.
And that's the second part.
Yeah.
Just say sorry.
Yeah, but also mean it. You know, some people say, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Just mean it. Be genuine. That's a big thing for me.
So
like, be genuine.
I'm learning to forgive. I think that's a big part of where I'm at with my faith. Like even, you know, some life things have happened and I said the words, I forgive you versus, oh, it's okay, it's fine. And even that little change has helped me to let go. Even if the problem isn't solved or there's no resolution, I feel lighter because I've said I forgive you versus, oh, it's fine, it's okay, it's this, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, forgiveness is a big thing on what you just said. It just kind of like sparked that, but yeah.
Okay, so when you find yourself in a bubble, right? Because I know creating is a lot. You know, you have to have, and it takes authenticity.
Yeah.
So where do you pull from when you find yourself in kind of a you know, just a standstill?
I always like to do something that I normally wouldn't do. Sometimes I think you have to walk away and put it down. You know what I mean? Or you when you're forcing it, you can feel it and it doesn't feel great. You know what I mean? So I liked, like, a good example, like, when I was in college and I was just, like, on the hustle, da 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 da. I went to, like, see an opera. You know,
Okay.
like, something that, like,
Different.
I don't do,
Yeah.
but it's still creative. I love just, like, once again, being an introvert, people watching and just, like, getting inspired. Like, I think that's the time you go to the movies and you go see a show. Like, sometimes as much as we create art, we have to consume art as well. And sometimes, you know, I personally, in my creative process, I may get out like one line or something, or I may have like, okay, I like this dance move. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I like it. So I document what gets out. And if that's all, you know. My creative process has changed a lot. There's certain pieces it took me 2 or 3 years to write. But the fact that I got out what came out during the time when I first started, I could go back, because sometimes I have to live a little bit more before I could go finish the piece. You know what I mean?
Now that's something now that you said a mouthful there. Sometimes you do have to just step away. And get all God wants you to get.
And be present.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
then come back
and
to
then
it
come
and finish
back.
it
And it's
up.
just like, okay.
That's why
there
I was
we
in
go.
such a rut.
You know? So
that makes sense.
it's really just like listening, you know, and observing, and once again, like honoring the season that you're in. Every season ain't meant to be
on the forefront.
The creating and the, you know, so yeah,
that's good. I love that you keep saying that. Every season isn't meant to be on the forefront.
Yeah.
Because it's a reminder. My husband always like, you just always on social media. Well, I mean, that's kind of how I make my money.
Right.
I'm a beauty influencer. I'm a hairstylist. Like I think that's kind of what I got to do. Right.
Yeah.
But every season is not meant to be on the forefront. That's really good stuff.
Yeah.
So you mentioned teaching.
Yes.
You have students.
Yeah.
So you are really out here in the community working with our youth. So what exactly do you do?
Okay, so as of right, well, I've started teaching again in January.
Okay.
How that came about, when I was in school, I would TA level 1 classes like modern ballet, because I couldn't afford training outside of school. So I had to kind of like, all right,
you had to do what you had to do, girl.
You know, so TAing gave me, because I've always known like I love teaching, I love kids. So in a way, I may have been teaching them, but I was also getting extra training, because as a teacher, I don't know if you experienced this, when you're teaching, they're teaching you back.
Yeah.
A lot.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. So I started TAing classes, and I did that all throughout high school. I've taught at several studios here as well. And now that I've created Becoming the Artist, it's kind of like me teaching and having a social media platform, not even just dance, but, you know, poetry, spoken word, stage presence, all of those things. And in January, I'm actually going to be teaching at the Croc Center for like this homeschool program, like a discovery dance.
Wow.
So, you know, they get a taste of what dance is, learning rhythm and like all of those things and different styles and things like that. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, I love teaching so much. Even this past year, as far as dance, I don't come from a competition dance background, but I got to do that with the studio that I was at. And that was great, you know. It was my first year in the competition space. We brought home first in one of the competitions.
Period. Put some
and
respect
like, you know,
on your name, girl.
Listen, I'll tell you that whole story. I'm like,
put some respect on your name.
Listen, okay? So, and I always shunned the competition space because I'm like, this made dancers feel bad about themselves. And that, you know, but I never made it about that for my students, you know? And that, I think that's a big reason why we won, because it was so much deeper than, you know what I'm saying, the egotistical or the validation. Like, it's always important to let them know, hey, you're good enough without these things. Absolutely. You know, when these things come, they're extra, you know. But I love teaching so much. Like, even with dance, I think I'm in a place where I'll be teaching more dance versus me doing it, because people don't know how much work that is. I choreograph on myself, I rehearse myself. It's a lot.
That is
a lot. You know
what
I'm saying? And this is how I eat. So people don't be wanting to come with that coin. Okay. So it's just like, you know, that's something more weighty, and like, you know, well, who wants you, they're gonna respect your grind and your price, you know. But I love teaching so much. Like, I love this, and I love performing myself and like being a star. Like I love that. Don't get me wrong. But to be able to sculpt the future generations, it is so rewarding.
It is.
It's a lot of pressure as well, but it is so rewarding.
And you have to truly have a passion for
You
teaching
do. And patience.
in any form. Yeah. Patience, definitely. In any form, though.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that you're so young, but you are so gifted at that part of it.
Thank you. Yeah.
You know, because some people are just born with that naturally, and you clearly have that.
Yeah.
So if anybody out there that's watching this podcast and they want to get in contact with you in reference to teaching, dancing, mentorship, well, how do they talk to you, girl?
Girl, okay. You can find me on all social media. It's Tarika Holland. So TarikaHolland. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Hopefully the app still be there in the future.
Let's hope so. That's one of my favorite apps.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where you can find me. My email is Holland Tarika. So it's just my first and last name switched. Because somebody took Tarika Holland. It's probably me in like middle school or something, but all right. But yeah, you can just, I haven't formally posted my 2025 booking information, but I am available. I'm grateful that things are beginning to happen, especially I like to think of my year in quarters. It just kind of give me that fresh start after each, you know. But I am available for bookings. So yeah, I'm excited for 2025.
That's good.
You know, I love the collective fresh start energy that everybody getting in the gym, everybody saving money.
Those New Year's resolutions, right? Okay.
Yeah. But my personal New Year started after my health episode in November. You know, that was my reset. I'm like, oh, this ain't gonna work.
I'm so glad that you're sitting here with me today, though.
Yeah. Thank you.
Because that can be scary.
It is.
Health concerns, a lot of times we avoid, you know, oh, my head's been hurting for 3 weeks and we decide to, you know, just take a Tylenol. But we have to make sure that we're nurturing inside as much as we are outside.
Definitely. Yeah.
So we're glad you're well.
Thank you so much.
But that don't stop the show though, because we're gonna get to these coins in 2025, right?
Yeah, we're gonna find
balance.
The balance. Yes, because I'm like, girl, I'm super healthy, mind you. So when something happens to me, it's a big deal to me because you know, so it was just a matter of time. Things just kind of like caught up to me, and it just happened that way. But I'm glad
so fast.
It does.
Things,
yeah. So I think I needed it. Like it's it was bad. Like, you know, I'm like, no one wants to like faint or like, that's why, no one wants to faint, but I needed it because it made me really realize like how in need of myself I was. You know, I was there for everyone else, showing up, giving my all, you know, but I neglected myself so deeply in the process, and that's not good.
It's not,
because like we said, the lights and the glam and the state, it looks good, but it's nothing if I'm not good. You know, so once again, people on the outside looking in, oh, you do all this stuff, Child, I was not taking care of myself, you know, and no one, they know it now because I'm being transparent about it. But you know, I'm definitely prioritizing balance.
And you cannot pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
So, you know, you have to keep yourself just as full as you try to keep others.
Definitely.
Yeah. So if anybody out there watching that's inspired to be an artist, to encompass all things artistry, what advice would you give to them?
Be consistent. Don't give up. Know who you are. If you're a faithful person, keep God first, always. They're going to be people telling you you can and you should do this instead, or they're going to be telling you how to be you. Do not listen, okay? Listen to your own voice. And just grind. Like, I think people want the fruits. They don't want the labor. Like, I see it all the time. You have to work for it, and you have to work really hard for it sometimes, you know? And the rejections are going to come. You can't let that one rejection stop you. You can't internalize every piece of criticism that you get, you know what I mean? But also be open to taking constructive criticism, you know, and it's all a balancing act. Once again, please take care of yourself. Don't be, you know, passing out and stuff. But no, really, like find that balance between taking care of yourself and not letting work become your identity. I've even struggled with that sometimes, you know, knowing who I am outside of work and knowing that my worth isn't in my work, you know, and that I'm enough outside of the things that I do, you know that as early as you can. you know, and also ask for help and build a good community of friends and supporters, mentors. Have the right people around you. You know, you are the company that you keep. Everybody think that, oh, well, I'm my own person. Not always, you know what I'm saying? You know, have people that love you for you and hold you accountable and just push you to be better, who aren't intimidated by your light. You have to be careful of that too. Like,
we getting deep here now. Yeah, okay. Preaching today, because that's a big one.
Yeah,
making sure you're surrounding your people with people who are genuine.
Yes,
you know, like who really want to see you do what you're meant to do.
Exactly, you know? And they don't see that as competition. Yeah,
okay,
you know what I mean? And they just love you. Outside, my friends could care less about. They appreciate what I do.
Yeah,
they want to know how Tarika is doing outside of the lights, outside of the stages, outside of the accomplishment. Like, how's your heart? How's your mind? You know, have people like that around you.
You have to.
You know,
because you can get so lost in the hustle and bustle of all of this. You know, all of whatever you have going on that you forget. Sometimes you just need a shoulder to. Girl, today was terrible. You know, you don't want people that are secretly in competition with you.
Even being as young as I am, like, you know, you look to the older people. I've always paid respects, but sometimes when you grow beyond the expectations they had for you, or you've done more than they've done, it becomes an issue. So, you know, if you're as young as I am, you have to really just know who you are and not internalize that, and, you know, not take on people's projections, because it can be detrimental.
Yeah.
You know, so those are just a few gems. It's so many, but I think those are the biggest ones for anyone.
Before we head up out of here today, I know you mentioned that you have 2 books.
Yes.
One in which drops all of the gems surrounding being an artist. So go ahead and tell the people about how they can find those.
Yes, you can find both of my books on Amazon. They're also on my website, but the website is down. You know, that new year got to refresh. You know what I'm saying?
A little rebranding. That's what we're gonna call it. Yeah.
But yeah, if you look up either Through the Eyes of Isolated Beauty, that's my first book. That's more so the poetry spoken word book, my first one. That's on Amazon. And if you look up Becoming the Artist and my name, it should pop up. And that's the one where I share my game and gems about being an artist on stage and beyond the lights.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, let's give it up for Miss Tarika Holland. It was a pleasure to meet you, to sit down and just chat it up. Girl, we got to get coffee or something.
Yeah.
Because this conversation can get deep.
Yeah.
I got some questions for you outside of all of this.
Please, yeah.
So we're so glad that you sat down with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Welcome to Voices of the City, girl. This is where we're going to talk about all things that impact people like me and you.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Yes. Thank y'all.